Hello, everyone. In the last lesson, we studied the theoretical knowledge of valve inspection. In this lesson, we will do some hands-on practice and see how the valve of a single-cylinder diesel engine is inspected. Let's briefly summarize the operating steps. Preparation before operation. Scraper. Rags. Vernier caliper. External micrometer. Cast iron workbench. V-blocks. Dial gauge. Gauge stand. Step 1. Remove carbon deposits. Use the scraper to remove carbon deposits from the valve head and clean it with a rag. Note that the scraper should not be used on the valve stem as it is chrome-plated to enhance wear resistance. Scraping it can remove the chromium coating. Instead, solvents should be used to clean the valve stem without scraping. After cleaning the carbon deposits, check the valve seat area for pitting. Inspect whether the valve stem is bent, pitted, or severely worn. Step 2. Measure the diameter. Measure the valve stem diameter using an external micrometer in 3 sections. Top, middle, and bottom. Measure each section in both horizontal and vertical directions. Compare the smallest measured value to the standard value, which can be taken from the unworn part of the valve stem's end. If the wear exceeds 0.1 mm or if there is significant step-like wear, the valve stem should be replaced. Step 3. Measure the thickness. Measure the thickness of the valve head edge using a vernier caliper. If the edge thickness is less than 0.8 mm, replacement is recommended. A reduced thickness of the valve head cylindrical part increases the combustion chamber volume, affecting engine smoothness and reducing valve head strength. Additionally, during the valve's contact with the seat, high shock waves can cause vibration, which may lead to erosion of the sealing area. Step 4. Measure the wear. Measure the wear at the valve tail end using a vernier caliper and compare it to the standard value. If the wear exceeds 0.5 mm, replacement is recommended. Before using the vernier caliper, ensure it is properly zeroed. Step 5. Measure the overall length. Measure the total length of the valve stem and compare it to the standard value. Replacement is suggested if the length is less than the standard by 0.5 mm. Step 6. Inspect the valve stem. Set up the cast iron workbench and V-blocks, and place the valve stem. Inspect the appearance of the dial gauge and ensure it moves freely. Attach the dial gauge to the gauge stand and position it appropriately on the cast iron workbench so that the gauge measuring head contacts the valve stem and applies a pressure of approximately 0.5 to 1 mm. Take measurements at 2 sections in the middle of the stem. Observe the dial gauge from a level perspective. Slowly and steadily rotate the valve stem and observe the extent of the needle's oscillation. Add the total amount of movement to the left and right, then divide by 2 to determine the stem's bend. Note that the chrome-plated portion of the valve stem forms a step and layers with the valve head. Ensure the stem remains straight when positioning it and selecting measurement points. If the bend exceeds 0.05 mm, the valve stem should be replaced or corrected. The corrected deviation should not exceed 0.02 mm. Step 7. Fill out the work order. After completing the tasks, fill out the work order. Clean up the workspace and restore the equipment. Let's briefly summarize the operating steps. Step 1. Remove carbon deposits. Step 2. Measure the diameter. Step 3. Measure the thickness. Step 4. Measure the wear. Step 5. Measure the overall length. Step 6. Inspect the valve stem. Step 7. Fill out the work order. Finally, please answer, when using a scraper to remove carbon deposits from the valve head, what should be noted? This concludes today's lesson. Goodbye, everyone.